My name is Conrad Arledge. I'm 34, and I spent the last 8 years offshore, trading birthdays and holidays for oil rigs and wiring every spare cent back to the house I thought I was protecting. I come from a family that wears tradition like a trophy. My older brother Oliver fits that mold perfectly, polished, poised, always saying the right thing to the right people. Me? I was the blunt instrument. The one who left. The one who wasn't missed. Even growing up, I felt like a footnote in my own story, until last week, when I came home unannounced and saw my mother in torn clothes, my father trembling on the porch, and my brother laughing in front of a table full of strangers. I should have knocked. But I walked in. And when I did, his face turned ghost white, because he knew exactly what he stole from me. Cut to the present. The Houston heat hadn't changed. It clung to your skin like it wanted to peel something off you. My boots hit the gravel too hard, and my rental car groaned as I shut the door behind me. The porch light flickered once. Then again. He was there. Hunched. Shrinking. My father. Sitting on the concrete step like some forgotten relic, shoulders curled into his chest, wearing the same damn knit cap I mailed him 5 years ago. The blue was faded now. More gray than anything else. I didn't speak at first. Just watched. His breath came in uneven gusts. One hand clenched around something invisible. The other trembling on his knee. Dad? He flinched. Didn't look at me. His eyes darted toward the window, then back to the ground. Shame has a weight. It drags a man down, even if he's done nothing wrong. I stepped closer. The porch groaned beneath me. Come inside, I whispered. You shouldn't be out here. He didn't move. Didn't nod. Just mumbled, not now. Not tonight. Inside, laughter cracked through the walls. Loud. Forced. Rehearsed. A woman's voice chirped, "You're too much, Ollie." Then glass clinked. I turned. The front door was open a few inches. Just enough to see what they didn't want me to. My mother. Standing near the entryway. Head down. A sleeve torn at the elbow. She moved to pick something up off the floor. Money. Not a lot. 7 crumpled dollar bills. Spread like trash across the hardwood. Guests. Suited. Dressed to impress. Laughing like this was a punchline they'd heard before. My brother. Oliver. Smiling like he owned the room. And maybe he did for now. They're just a charity case I keep around, he said, chuckling. Like living nostalgia. The room roared with laughter. And my mother bent again, trying to gather the money faster. One bill slipped beneath a guest's boot. They didn't move. I stepped onto the porch. My father didn't look at me. He only muttered, "He told them you weren't coming back. That you never cared." I opened the door fully. Everything stopped. The light from the chandelier above hit me like a spotlight. Warm. Too perfect. Too fake. Eyes turned. One by one. Oliver saw me. And his face went ghost white. He blinked. Once. Twice. Then his mouth twitched into something that might have passed for a smile. "Well, look who the cat dragged in," he said, voice tight. "Long time, little brother." I didn't smile back. I looked at the 7 bills on the floor. At our mother's hand hovering midair. At our father still kneeling outside like a man exiled from his own kingdom. "Did you ever stop to wonder what it would feel like," I said slowly, "when the truth walked back through that door?" Oliver shifted. His foot nudged one of the bills casually toward me. "Drama suits you, Con." I knelt. Picked up every single dollar. Let the crinkle fill the silence. Then stood. "These yours?" I asked, holding them up. He didn't answer. The guests were still. Some started looking at each other. One woman whispered something behind her wine glass. "This was your idea of respect?" I said. Oliver didn't blink. "They like the show. I give them one." The door behind me creaked. My father stepped in. He didn't speak. Didn't stand tall. But he was inside again. That alone was enough to rattle Oliver. "Some people mistake cruelty for control," I said. He laughed once, sharp. "You don't get to lecture me." I stepped forward, just enough to make him uncomfortable. "No. I get to remind you." Oliver's fiancée appeared in the hallway. Her family behind her. Their smiles faded. "What's going on?" she asked. Oliver opened his mouth. But I beat him to it. "I bought this house," I said clearly. "Paid for every brick. Every pipe. Every repair." Gasps. A shift. The room went from party to pressure cooker. "He's lying," Oliver snapped. "No," I said. "You are." And then I tossed the 7 bills at his feet. He didn't pick them up. I didn't come home to fight. I came home to take it all back, and I'm not leaving empty-handed. The silence cracked first. A wine glass clinked. Someone cleared their throat. Oliver moved fast, too fast. His voice sharpened like a blade dulling against bone. "Everyone, this is my brother," he said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Conrad just got back from playing soldier overseas. That fake charm made my teeth itch." I didn't respond. His fiancée's mother turned to me. "Oh, we've heard so much about you. You're the handyman," Oliver cut in. "He helps out now and then. Comes and goes. Not part of the picture. I finished for him, cold." Eyes shifted. Someone adjusted a bracelet. Another coughed into their drink. Distraction. I stepped past the hors d'oeuvres table, through the hall, and into the living room, slow, deliberate. The way a man moves when he knows he's walking across a minefield, but doesn't care anymore. Every photo on the wall had been changed. New frames. Brushed silver. Black trim. No warmth. The gallery wall used to be cluttered, uneven, filled with real moments. Vacations. Birthdays. Dad's military retirement. Mom's garden club award. Gone. In their place, high-res, perfectly posed family portraits. And I wasn't in a single one. Not faded. Not blurred. Not cropped. Just gone. One frame caught my eye. Thanksgiving, 2 years ago. I remember carving the turkey. I'd wired money that week for a new oven. Now? Oliver stood holding the carving knife. His smile too wide. The background blur almost hid the faint shadow of where I used to be. I touched the glass. They say a lie told often enough becomes truth. But this wasn't a lie. It was erasure. What happened to the old photos? I asked, loud enough for everyone to hear. Oliver's mouth opened. Closed. We updated them. Did Mom ask for that? I turned toward her. She stood frozen near the stairs, eyes glossy. She forgets things, Oliver said. I handle all that now. I crossed the room. Did she forget me too? That shut him up. I turned to the fiancé. Has he told you about the mortgage payments? Confusion. The what? Monthly transfers. 8 years. I paid for this house, every nail, every damn tile. Ask your fiancé who signed the deed. Now the room stirred. A man in the back murmured, I thought he said his parents gave him the house. Oliver stiffened. That's enough. I didn't stop. Couldn't. Where's Dad's Navy plaque? I asked. Oliver blinked. The one he kept next to the bookshelf? No idea. I crossed to the corner. Bookshelf gone. In its place, an abstract art piece, probably expensive, probably hollow. Where's the photo of Mom's first garden? The one she framed with the crooked tulip? Old stuff, Oliver said. We refreshed the space. You mean sterilized it? You've been gone, things change. I stepped closer. He didn't flinch, but his breath hitched. You didn't change things, I said. You burned the memories that didn't fit your new script. One of the guests whispered to another, "What's happening?" Another, "He said his brother left and never called." This doesn't add up. Cut scene. Footsteps behind me. Dad. Still wearing the knit cap. Still trembling. He didn't speak. But his eyes, there was something burning behind the shame. Then a guest I didn't know, mid-40s, pinstripe suit, stepped forward. He looked at me. Then at Oliver. You said he abandoned them, he said. Oliver's smile vanished. I remember, the man continued. You said he didn't send a dime. Why are you even here? Oliver snapped. That was when I saw it. In the fireplace, neatly folded beside a pile of magazines, one of my old letters. I walked over, pulled it out. The seal was unbroken. I turned it to Mom. I mailed this 6 months ago. You said you never heard from me. She opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Oliver stepped forward. We didn't open everything. Sometimes it got misplaced. I spun. Did it get misplaced, or did you keep it hidden? No answer. I held the envelope high. Want to open it now? Or should I read it to the room? Oliver lunged. Fast. Sloppy. His hand grabbed at the letter, but I stepped back, and his fingers snapped at air. Gasps. His fiancée moved away from him for the first time that night. Enough, he growled. This is a family matter. I shook my head. Not anymore. I walked back to the hallway. Paused. Looked one last time at the wall of photos. So perfect. So clean. Like a museum exhibit of a family that never existed. I whispered to myself, he didn't just erase me. He rewrote everything. And now it's my turn to take the pen. I didn't sleep. The house was silent, but not still. It felt watched. As if the walls had ears and they hadn't decided whose side they were on yet. Oliver had gone to bed early. Or pretended to. His fiancée and her parents followed not long after, offering polite smiles that felt glued on. Mom stayed in the kitchen, scrubbing a glass that was already clean. Dad sat in the den, blinking at a muted TV. I stayed near the stairs. Listening. One truth always survives in families like mine: the louder someone laughs at dinner, the darker their secrets when the plates are cleared. I moved after 2 a.m. Fast. Quiet. I needed proof. Not memories. Not feelings. Paper. Signatures. Dates. Something I could shove in front of a judge if it came to it. Office. Corner room. Oliver's new study. All angles and expense. Chrome desk. Slimline monitor. A fake bonsai. A single photograph, him standing in front of the house. Alone. I opened drawers. Nothing in the top. Pens. Receipts. A pair of cufflinks shaped like dollar signs. Cute. Second drawer. Flash drives. A burner phone, dead. No SIM card. The bottom drawer didn't budge. I knelt. Tried again. Locked. Figures. A digital lock. Newer model. Small keypad. 4 digits. No biometrics. I stood. Looked around the room. Framed certificates on the wall. Business degree. Realtor's license. One frame hung slightly lower than the others. I reached behind it. Nothing. Checked under the keyboard. No sticky note. Too careful for that. My breath fogged the screen for a second. Then I saw it. A post-it tucked behind the bonsai. Barely showing. 11:38. I tapped it in. Click. Drawer slid open with a whisper. Inside, a thick folder marked Property, Revision D. Black pen scrawl. Sharp, aggressive handwriting. Behind it, a second folder. POA Forms, 2022. Power of Attorney. My stomach clenched. I flipped the pages fast. Mom's signature. Shaky. But not hers. Dad's signature. Blocky. Slanted weird. Also not right. No notarization stamp. Just blank where the seal should be. Then I saw the date. Signed 6 weeks after Dad's minor stroke. Under Texas law, he wouldn't have had the legal capacity. Any attorney would have flagged that. Unless someone made sure no attorney ever saw it. I swallowed hard. Control the paper, someone once told me, and you control the reality. I pulled out my phone. Snapped photos of every page. Sudden noise. Creak. The floorboard just outside the office. I froze. Waited. No voice. No light. But the air felt different. Like it knew I was trespassing. I slid the folders back. Closed the drawer. Reset the lock. Erased the screen with my sleeve. Then I turned off the light and ducked out the back door into the hallway. The night wasn't silent anymore. It was breathing. Cut scene. Next morning. Breakfast. Formal. Performative. Oliver stood by the espresso machine like a morning show host. Sleep well, Con? He asked. I nodded. Like the dead. He laughed. Don't be dramatic. Mom brought out eggs. Toast. Bacon. Her hands trembled slightly. She placed my plate last, then stood back like a waitress waiting for approval. Dad sat at the far end of the table. Silent. Wearing the same sweatshirt from yesterday. I reached into my jacket pocket. Laid one photo from last night on the table. The fake signature. Blown up. Centered. Oliver stared. I didn't blink. This yours? Silence. Fiancé looked between us. What is that? He reached forward, slow, deliberate. I pulled it back before he could touch it. Don't worry, I said. There's more. Whole folder, in fact. You broke into my office? No. I opened a drawer. I followed the lies. They always lead somewhere. Oliver's face twitched. You're not going to ruin this, he said under his breath. I smiled. You already did. I'm just turning on the lights. He stood. Fast. Chair screeched. Let's talk outside, he hissed. No, I said. Let's talk where everyone can hear. I pulled out my phone. Started playing a recording. It was faint, but clear. Oliver's voice. Whispering to someone over the phone. If I can get the signature, I can move everything into my name before Conrad even knows. The old man barely remembers Tuesday. Mom won't ask questions if I cry enough. Gasps. One of the guests dropped a fork. Mom's knees gave slightly. She reached for the counter. Dad looked up, slowly, like a machine coming back online. Oliver lunged for my phone. Too late. I'd already sent the audio to my cloud. And someone else. I know who you called to process the fake transfer, I said. And she's not answering your calls anymore. Oliver's hands curled into fists. You think this is a win? He spat. No, I said. This is the beginning. He stepped back, barely breathing. I stood. Because I hadn't come back to argue. I'd come back to burn the script he'd written and make him watch the ashes. I was followed. I didn't need shadows or footsteps to prove it. I could feel it, some sixth sense, that static hum under your skin when something just isn't right. The moment I stepped out of the house, a black sedan parked across the street flicked its headlights once. Then off. Then gone. No license plate on the front. I wasn't paranoid. Paranoia is for people who still doubt. Truth is a louder alarm. I drove to my old storage unit on the East End. Industrial. Dusty. No cameras. No records that couldn't be erased. Inside, I kept two things, a fireproof safe and a red duffel bag. I hadn't opened either in years. The bag had a burner phone. I charged it, powered it up. One number saved. Eliza Mora. Legal aid. Whistleblower. The woman who helped me transfer the original deed into my parents' name when I was offshore. She'd gone quiet 6 months ago. I texted her. He faked POA. I have the docs. Need to talk. Urgent. The response came fast. Meet me. 2 hours. AMC rooftop garage, level 4. Cut scene. I parked on level 3. Climbed the last level by foot. Wind howled between the concrete pillars. She was there. Hoodie up. Bag slung tight. Eyes scanning every shadow. Eliza, I said quietly. She turned. Tense. Are you being followed? I don't think so. You think wrong. She pulled out her phone. Swiped a folder open. Images. My brother. Oliver. In a bank lobby. Smiling at a loan officer. A week ago. Transferring assets under a shell LLC. He's moved fast, she said. Way faster than legally possible. Means he greased someone. She nodded. I traced one of the signatories on the fake POA. It's a dead notary. Died in 2019. Her seal was stolen. How deep? Deep enough that if this blows up, it's not just him going down. I stared at the image. Something off in the background. A man. Gray jacket. Watching Oliver. Not bank staff. No ID badge. I zoomed in. Same guy from the sedan earlier. He's not working alone, I muttered. No, she agreed. And neither should you. Eliza reached into her bag. Handed me a flash drive. This is everything I could pull before they locked me out. Locked you out? I don't work at the law firm anymore. They said I was unstable. Sent HR after me. Clean sweep. That wasn't HR, I said. Yeah, she whispered. I know. She looked around again, voice dropping. Listen. The real twist? Oliver didn't start this. I blinked. What? She leaned in. The LLC he's using, it traces back to someone else. Nolan Mercer. The name hit like a slap. Nolan Mercer. Local real estate mogul. Known for land flipping, aggressive takeovers. He and Dad had beef back in the 90s. Something about stolen contracts, a business dissolved under suspicious terms. I thought it was all dust by now. Eliza shook her head. He's back. Quietly acquiring properties with old debt markers. And your parents' house? Has one. No. I cleared everything. You think you did? But Mercer's digging up ghosts. I breathed out slow. If Oliver's just a puppet, then who's holding the strings? Cut scene. Back at the house. Dinner was tense. Eyes darting. Mom tried to make stew. Burned it. Oliver was calm. Too calm. That smug, serene quiet of a man who thinks the storm's already passed. Big day, huh, he said over salad. I didn't answer. Conrad, he said. There's still a way to settle this. No need to drag anyone into the mud. You've been covered in mud so long, you think it's the floor, I snapped. He smiled. I'm giving you an out. I already took it. The minute I walked back through that door. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. One-word text. Check the garage. I stood. Calm. Walked out. Backyard. Gravel. Garage padlocked. Same lock I installed when I was 19. I clipped the chain. Inside were boxes. Old files. And one thing that didn't belong. A briefcase. Black leather. New. Inside, documents. Original mortgage records. Stamped paid in full. But the next sheet. Lien agreement. Signed not by my father, but by Nolan Mercer. Dated 6 weeks before Dad's stroke. Stamped. Notarized. Impossible. Unless Dad had been coerced before the stroke. Or unless the signature was forged. I pulled the last page. A map. Our block. Circled in red. 3 homes tagged with initials. Oi. Seal. Oliver Arledge. Miranda Mercer. Conrad Arledge. I stared. Blood in my ears. This wasn't just theft. This was war. The kind that starts with paper and ends with blood. The living room turned into a courtroom without anyone calling it that. Phones came out. Not all at once, one here, another there, like a ripple of doubt moving through the crowd. The chandelier hummed. The air felt thin. Oliver saw it happening. He adjusted his cuffs. Smiled. Before anyone decides to play hero, he said, voice smooth, I think we should clear the air. Distraction. He crossed to the console beneath the TV and pulled out a small black USB drive. Held it up between 2 fingers like a winning card. I kept records, he said. Because truth has a way of getting twisted when emotions run high. My mother's hand went to her mouth. My father stared at the floor. I didn't move. A lesson from the rigs came back to me. When pressure builds, don't rush the valve, watch where the leak starts. Oliver plugged the USB in. The TV flickered. A folder popped up. Final _ clean. He glanced at me. A thin smile. This will explain everything. Click. The first video loaded. Not me. Oliver. Alone. Same room. Different night. He paced, phone propped on the bookshelf. Shirt wrinkled. Tie loose. A glass in his hand. This is how you sell a story, he said to the camera. You stay calm. You talk slow. People believe whoever speaks first. A murmur ran through the room. Oliver lunged for the remote. Missed. The video jumped. Another angle. Kitchen this time. He laughed, short, sharp. They don't read anything, he said. You just say it's insurance. Or taxes. Or paperwork Conrad abandoned. My mother made a sound, small, broken. Cut. Garage footage. Dim, he stood beside the foam mattress, nudging it with his foot. Temporary, he said, rolling his eyes. People believe anything if you say it's for their own good. Phones lifted higher now. Someone whispered, "This is sick." Oliver's face drained of color. He rushed the TV. I stepped in front of him. Didn't touch him. Didn't need to. "Let it play," I said. He froze. The next clip loaded. Living room. Same spot. Camera hidden low. "I'll say Dad's confused," Oliver said. "Say Mom trips a lot. Bruises explain themselves if you tell the story first." That did it. His fiancée staggered back like the floor had shifted. Her father grabbed the back of a chair to steady himself. A line echoed in my head, something I'd learned the hard way: power doesn't corrupt, it reveals. Oliver reached for the TV again. I took the remote this time. Raised it out of reach. "You said you had proof," I told him. "You were right. Just not the kind you planned." The final clip queued up. Oliver stood center frame. Suit pressed. Hair perfect. Practicing. "They think Conrad's the savior," he said. "People love watching heroes fall. Once the house is in my name, it's done. Nobody will stop me." He smiled at the camera. Fade to black. Silence crashed into the room. No one laughed. No one moved. Then voices. "That's elder abuse." He recorded himself. "Is this even legal?" I turned to the room. In Texas, coercing signatures from incapacitated adults is a felony. Forging a deed? Another one. Filming it? That's not a crime. It's a confession. Oliver shook his head, breath shallow. "You took that out of context." I leaned in. Context doesn't save intent. He turned to his fiancée. "Tell them. You know me." She stared at him like she was seeing a stranger. "If this is what you do to your parents," she said quietly, "what would you have done to mine?" That hurt him more than anything I'd said. He lashed out. "I did this for us." Her father stepped forward. "For us?" He pointed at the screen. "You plan to dispossess your own parents." Another truth surfaced, uninvited. Families don't break in one moment. They fracture, hairline cracks, until the weight finally drops. Sirens wailed in the distance. Someone had called it in. Oliver heard them. Panic finally cracked through the polish. He rounded on me. "You think this makes you clean?" "No," I said. "It makes me done." I turned to my parents. "Do you want me to stop this?" They looked at each other. Years passed between their glances. "We want peace," my father said. His voice shook, but it held. I nodded. "Then peace comes with boundaries." The sirens grew louder. Blue light washed the walls through the windows. Oliver sagged onto the couch. Hands open. Empty. A thought settled in me, cold and clear. The truth doesn't shout, it waits until the lie trips over itself. The doorbell rang. Hard. I looked at my brother one last time and said, "You didn't just lie, Oliver. You left the camera running." Sirens weren't distant anymore. Red and blue flickered over the lawn like impatient phantoms. Oliver was on the couch. Cuffed. Mouth moving, but no coherent sound. The room smelled of stale wine and fear. Camera phones were still out. Voices whispered. "Is this going to federal?" I saw elder abuse charges already filed. I watched it all unfold. Calm. Controlled. Because truth is a heavier weapon than any lie. Detective Lucia Vega arrived in a sharp suit, not a badge in sight, yet everyone fell silent. She stepped in front of Oliver. "Mr. Arledge," she said, voice cold, precise, "you are being detained for filing forged documents and coercion of elders. Once we confirm all assets linked to your fraudulent LLC, additional charges will follow." Oliver's gaze snapped to her. His mouth opened. Closed. No words left. The room shifted again, like air rearranging itself after a storm. My parents stood together near the fireplace. Mom's hand rested on Dad's arm. He looked old. Older than the day I found him on the porch. But there was fire in his eyes now. "Conrad," he began, voice low. I waited. "We lost ourselves in silence," he said. "Until you forced the truth in." I didn't flinch. Not now. Not when the world was finally watching. A neighbor muttered something behind us. Family matters should stay private. Lucia turned her head slightly, eyes narrow. "Not when rights are violated," she said. "Not when fraud and manipulation are weaponized." I felt the room lean in. I took a breath. There's a saying, the truth doesn't need a spotlight. It only needs to outlast the lie. Tonight, it had. A deputy stepped forward with a file. "Mr. Arledge," he said to Oliver, "assets have been frozen pending audit." Oliver's head snapped up. "What does that mean?" he barked. "It means everything you tried to control won't move without legal oversight," Lucia said. "Your access is revoked. And if new evidence points to accomplices, charges will extend." Gasps. A ripple. Then silence. Oliver sagged again. No theatrics left. I walked toward my parents. Mom's eyes were red, but proud. "Thank you for fighting," she whispered. I looked at Dad. He squeezed her hand. "We're still here," he said, "because you didn't give up." I nodded. There was a moment, a beat, where the sound outside became louder than inside. Police radios. Footsteps. The clank of cuffs. The cinematic chaos. But first, a calm. An immediate contrast. I turned back to Oliver, who looked hollow. Not dangerous anymore. Just defeated. Someone whispered behind me, "Reminds me of what they say, that power without honor is empty." I didn't correct them. I simply observed. Windows rattled from the sirens outside. A gust of wind pushed through a cracked door. The light shifted. Shadows danced briefly. Then resolved. Like truth in daylight. Outside, cameras captured every move. Reporters had started to gather. Flashing lights. Questions unanswered. Faces hungry for reaction. But I stayed inside. With my parents. Because this night wasn't about spectacle. It was about restoration. Mom took a step back and looked at the house, the real home, not the performance Oliver built. "It's been empty for so long," she said, eyes moist, "even when he was here." Dad leaned on her. "I thought we were protecting something," he said, "but we were trapped." I didn't argue. Because I knew now, real protection comes from voice, not silence. I stepped onto the porch again. The same porch where I found him trembling. The same porch where everything began. I put my hand on the weathered rail. The buzz of the night was alive. A neighbor lit a cigarette in the distance. Another recorded on their phone. Someone yelled a question to a reporter. Questions without answers. I closed my eyes. And breathed. There's a phrase I remember. When you chase a lie, it hides behind the shadows. But when you bring light, the shadows flee. Tonight, what had been hidden was out. And Oliver's shadows couldn't cling any longer. Footsteps. Detectives calling names. A deputy walked past me with paperwork. He looked at the house. Then at me. Not with pity. Not with scorn. With acknowledgement. "Sir, if you'd like to file a statement." I nodded. Because this wasn't over, not legally, not emotionally. But the fighting would be just. Just and honest. Inside, Mom and Dad stood together. closer now than they had been in years. I approached them. "We'll rebuild," I said, voice steady. Mom smiled, tired but real. Dad nodded. "We'll need help," he said. I agreed. The street wasn't silent. Reporters murmured. Neighbors watched. Some with judgment. Some with admiration. But none with ignorance anymore. I looked back at Oliver through the window. He sat in the deputy's car, head resting against the glass, empty eyes watching the house. His downfall wasn't dramatic. It was inevitable. Because you can't erase someone's existence. You can only delay the truth. The doorbell rang again, sharper this time. A new disturbance. Listeners arriving. Perhaps more questions. But I walked toward it with certainty. Because tonight I learned something. Justice isn't when everyone sees the victory. Justice is when the truth stands, even when it's uncomfortable. I opened the door. A camera flashed. A voice shouted a question. I didn't flinch. I answered with one sentence. This house belonged to my parents long before the lies. Down the street, sirens faded. But not completely. Not yet. Because truth always echoes. A distant drone. A life moving forward. And finally, a peace that didn't come from silence, but from believing and speaking. The storm was over. But the calm? It was only just beginning.